10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto, on this September 3rd, 2018 afternoon. And Chris, I can't believe the summer's over. It's Labor Day. We are officially done with the 2018 summer here. And for me, it doesn't really matter because it's always summer in Florida. But I got to just be honest. It's so weird how fast time goes. And as I get older and older, it's going faster and faster. It's just, you know what? My grandfather said it. My dad said it. Every old person tells you this, and when you're young, you're like, yeah, whatever, you know.
I set my son down today. He's 14. I said, you got to write these 3 questions down. Let's see if I can even remember. What your passions are, what do you want to do with your life, and who you want to become. And every day you have to work on those questions. But part of it was, I said, you're 14. Do you remember what you did? Just tell me any one thing that you did 5 years ago. He said, I can't remember. I said, of course you can't remember. I said, how about 4? 3? No. But the point is, I said, in 5 years, you're going to be 19. So these are the most important years of your life, really. I mean, they're big foundational. And time is going to go by anyway. So you might as well make the most out of it, which really means, of course, me, Capricorn. Work your ass off now from 14 to 19 so that you can put yourself in a better position when you're 25. But time flies. That's what my point was to him, is time.
Then you can work even more until you're 60 and you retire.
Yeah. 59 and a half, you get to tap into your simple IRA, and 60, whatever it is, you get Social Security, and everything's fine and dandy.
It's funny how deep these conversations are you have with your son. My conversations amount to who's your favorite character on the Mickey Mouse Club?
Oh, yeah, well, we already did those too. We did all that fun stuff.
Yeah, those are good conversations. I'm looking forward to when I can finally have those conversations with my son.
Well, he looks like he's interested, but,
Yeah. Yeah, your kids listen. They hear.
No, well,
I don't know if they follow what you tell them, but they definitely hear it.
Yeah.
Like if I quizzed them on it, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, my dad. They told me."
Well, that's another lesson too. I said you can get straight A's in school, and meaning you can regurgitate what someone told you, but implementing it is more important. I said I'd rather have you implement, 5 of the 10 things that I teach you than know all of them and implement 4 of them.
I haven't done a quote of the week, so I actually have 2 this week. But one of them, and seriously, Chris and I don't rehearse this stuff before. This was one of the quotes I pulled. Listen to this, Chris. How relevant is this to what you just said? Your life is right now. It's not later. It's not in the time of retirement. It's not when the lover gets here. It's not when you're moved into the new house. It's not when you get the better job. Your life is right now. It will always be right now. You might as well decide to start enjoying your life right now, because it's not ever going to get better than right now until it gets better right now.
It's a phenomenal quote.
Isn't that a good quote? So
it's my roommate in college used to make fun of his father, who used to say, you know what, when I lose 20 pounds and retire from the police force, I'm going to start really enjoying myself.
Yeah. Can't do that.
Yeah.
What, the guy dropped dead?
No, he's just a complainer, so he actually enjoys complaining, father.
Yeah.
But
you never know when your time's up. You got to enjoy it now.
100% agree with you.
So that's so I was in we were talking. I was asking Chris what he did on Labor Day. And,
I said that's tomorrow, Dave.
Which is really today, according
Which
to people's
means
perspective.
you do nothing. Well,
right.
you did. You said you do nothing.
Right. But what did you do on Sunday?
I took the family to a park at a headlight. I'm sure you know it. It's Portland Headlight. It's like it was commissioned by George Washington.
Oh wow, cool.
And it's a big lighthouse park right on the ocean with crashing waves, and
nice.
A couple of giant cruise ships went by, and we threw rocks into the water.
Now that would be you're on the obviously right on the edge of the Atlantic right there, huh?
Well, I'm not.
Okay, but you drove
but
there.
I did. Yeah, we drove there, and we pulled up to the headlight, and real estate Chris sees this house that you can see.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great? You love real estate so much that you go on these trips because your family thinks like, oh, Chris is such a good father. He wants to take us to all these great places. And meanwhile, you're like, I wonder what kind of real estate they got here. This is
I know every house. I look out there at the houses all the time. They're insane, and they're on the water, and they got rocky. It's rocky coast with giant waves crashing into the rocks.
High homeowners and flood insurance.
I say, I could picture myself out there having coffee in the morning.
It must be brutal in the winter there. It's got to be.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's you're about as north. You can't go any more north than you guys are, pretty much, right?
North of me is Reagan, Chris Bumstead, Henry Pierre, all the Canadians.
Yeah, you're pretty far up there. It's beautiful in the summer, but it's horrendous. I remember when I was in college. I went to college in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I had this track coach, Coach I. His name was Iannicelli. His last name was, but Coach I. And he had this big nose, and whenever he would speak to you, he would be like an inch away from you. He was about 5'2", but he was one of these guys that was such an authoritarian that everyone was petrified of him, and he wasn't afraid of anyone. This guy, and he wasn't a big guy. He was a track guy. He was like but he was so his aura. But he would go up to Maine every summer. He spent in Maine after the school year let out. He had his house up there. I think he just passed away a couple years ago, but he loved it up there. That he couldn't. He loved it. It was right on the Atlantic. He said, "No, I don't think it was on the water. I don't think he had that much money, but it was close."
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
He said, "There's nothing better than Maine in the summer."
Yeah, it's like it's beautiful. I mean, people come from all over. But I
didn't know that until you told me that. I thought Maine. Yeah, Maine's beautiful, but there's still not a lot of people. Not a lot of people go there.
Well, there's not enough. A lot of people go. Actually, the population is. I just read this little tidbit the other day. The population is 1.3 million.
And what is it in the summer?
Well, I don't know, but last year there were 37 million visitors.
Wow. See, that's interesting because in the summer, everyone goes up to Maine. In the winter, everyone comes down by me.
That's right.
And we're like complete opposite. You're about as north as you can be, and I'm about as south as I can be. So
you know what? And I told my kids because it is, of course, most of those people come in the summer and fall. And I told my kids the worst business to be in. They're like, what? I said seasonal business. They said, why? I said, because it's seasonal. I mean, you only, think of the whole concept, the seasonal business.
Yeah.
You got a beautiful inn and there's nobody to, come from December to
I think of The Shining.
March.
You know the movie The Shining?
Oh, yeah.
It was so bad, the weather. The winter would be so brutal on the mountain there where the hotel was.
People just drink like crazy.
No, they had to just shut it down. They would close it up for the winter months, and they would have the caretaker there. That was the whole story.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then they would be there the whole winter, and then, of course, people go insane, living in this huge hotel. I thought it was a great idea. I said, wow. I'd love to live in it. Imagine living in the whole, have the whole hotel to yourself. All you got to do is take care of the thing, and there's a couple things you got to take care of over the winter, and you're stuck there. Yeah, but you got your family there, and it's kind of like you got TV. As long as the weather doesn't get too bad. And but I guess you can go a little insane in these places. You're trapped there. But in the summer, it's probably gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So I spent. Not really my Labor Day, but the day before that, we go to like Walmart for us is like going to Disneyland because my kids are too small, but my son loves all the toys and everything like that and the clothing, and we shop and we steal the grapes, we steal the unwashed grapes, we eat those, and we would do all kinds of fun stuff. We do sword fights with the lightsabers, that we're not allowed to bring home because he'll take someone's eye out with it. But in the store, we could use them. He throws the baseball to me. He sits in the cart, and I give him the baseball, and I get one of the catcher's mitts, and I let him pitch to me. So we have a good time. So today we needed to get a couch for one of the bedrooms. So we went to the furniture store. Taking a kid to the furniture store, like who's 2.5 years old, that might be like the greatest Like
Trampolines.
Yeah,
Everything's a trampoline.
yeah,
floor.
everything's trampoline. Exactly. Bouncing off everything in that place. I was horrified. I'm like, you know what? My father said it to me. It was payback's going to be a bitch, and I'm sure I did the same thing to my father. I'm convinced of it. I must.
Yeah, but if you probably, if you had him at like 25, you'd probably be going nuts. At 50, you would just let him run around the place.
Yeah, no,
I love him.
Yeah, I have a. He's pretty funny in these places, and.
Well, they're fun to bring anywhere.
Yeah,
right?
No, it's great. Like I said, I think I enjoy some of these. I think I enjoy bringing him there more than he probably enjoys being there. That's the funny thing.
Believe me, wait till you can go to the movies and get the popcorn and the candy bars.
Oh my God,
yeah,
that's real fun.
Throw him into a diabetic coma while you're watching some Disney film. It's just like a blast.
I can't wait till he want to watch. He wants to watch movies that I actually like, though. But I guess you get to learn. You learn to like these like kids movies. I know.
Oh, I've watched some of them like 100 times. I know the lines.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I can do the hot. The hot dog dance from the Disney Mickey Mouse Playhouse.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't understand it because when before he started watching it, we went to like the doctor's office. They were playing like the hot dog song, and all the kids were like dancing to it. The parents know the words. I'm like, I said, I don't think my kid is gonna like this. I just don't think Logan's into this thing and this hot dog dance thing. And then now he's like obsessed with it. So, all you parents out there know what I'm talking about. No one else knows. You have to be a parent to understand this. So. We got the Olympia coming up in less than 2 weeks now. So that's exciting. You leave what, next week? Next Monday?
I leave. You can wait earlier than. I will be doing this show next week live from Vegas.
Wow.
I'm flying out dead early on Saturday. No kids. I have no idea where. I think I'm at the Platinum.
You're always at the Platinum.
Yeah, the Platinum was discovered by Guy Sisternino, and what's annoying is
it really wasn't. I'm going to tell you who discovered the Platinum.
Who?
The first time I ever went there, Sheila Bleck. Sheila Bleck discovered the Platinum because she always needed to be in a place that was room for her to practice her routine.
Give me the year.
This is going back probably over 10 years.
Wait, no, the Platinum's only been.
No, maybe not 10 years. Hold on. When did I start working with Sheila?
Get her on
this had to be...
Guy would... Let me see if Guy's...
09 maybe? 010? No, 09. 09 or 10. I had just started working with RX Muscle. She was actually working with Romano back then. It was like 09 or 10, I'm telling you. She found this hotel, and I didn't even know where it was, and I had to go there with John, and I was like, holy mackerel, this place is nice. It's like these huge apartments. They got kitchens. They're huge, and they were not expensive. They're really for what they're giving you.
Well, here's the problem. We've blabbed it so much on this radio.
Oh, now everyone books them up. I can't get a room there.
It's ridiculous.
Right? Yeah. 1 year for RX Muscle, we did a live stream from that. Remember when we didn't have press passes?
Yeah, that's right.
We sat. Yeah. We had that huge room. I think we had the biggest one they had.
Yeah, I think my friend left like $400,000 cash in your
bag. Right. You're right. He did leave like $100,000 in an envelope, and he came back. He's like,
cash.
"You got my bag." I said, "Is that it over there?" There was like 400 people in the room too.
Yeah, that's right.
And I didn't know. And then I told you, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, there's like $100,000 of cash in there." I was like, "Wow, someone could have found me. We could have really hit the lottery in our room that night."
I know. Imagine if we come back and be like, "Oh no, nobody's seen it." No, you sure you had it here?
Yeah. Good thing I'm so honest. Too honest. That stuff comes back to you, though, man. You steal $100,000.
That's another lesson I give my kids. It comes back to 10 times.
It's one thing to take $20. It's another thing to take $100,000.
Yeah, I give those lessons to my kids morning, noon, and night. When someone gives me the change back, they give me $30 too much. I give it back to them. I tell my kids, you know why I gave it back to them? One, because I'm honest. Yeah. But two, if you're not honest, it will come back to you.
Absolutely. That's why I truly believe I got my computer back because of that.
Oh yeah, from that. That's insane. From
that
not
woman
Starbucks,
who swiped
but
at the
Whole Foods.
Nationals.
Only you, Dave.
Yeah, but you know what? The problem was she wiped off everything that was on it, so I didn't even need it at that point. But I guess it's nice to have a backup computer just in case.
Well, she was a tech savvy thief. She was able to.
No, she wasn't. She did it in the worst possible way. But you know, it is. She started installing games on there. You know, like a real. She was obviously a real.
I heard
Hillary
Clinton's emails are on there.
Hillary Clinton's emails. Roger Stone's emails.
Roger Stone's.
Oh my god.
So yeah, the Olympia. So I'll be doing the Olympia, whatever this radio show from the Platinum.
Okay, that works for me. So you're babysitting all these guys. How many guys you got in the show this year?
8.
It's a lot.
Dave, since 2009, it has to be like 40, 35 people I've helped for that show.
No, I know you're Olympia strong. That's for sure. You have a lot of.
Well,
Olympia.
I never win, of course, but that's my I'm a 40-time loser.
Who's your win?
Won't I be a terrible winner?
Who's your win, Jay?
I'm talking like the last. No, Jay was 2006. That's it. I'm talking since 2009, since helping multiple people.
Oh. Who's the winner? Do you have?
Jay.
06. Right? Yeah. Well, you helped. What's her name? So it wasn't the Olympia, but Helly Nielsen won the.
But that's not the Olympia. I mean, people won shows.
Should have been the Olympia, though. Should have been the Olympia.
Well, I had Olympia money.
It had more than Olympia money.
Yeah, that's right. You're not kidding.
What else did I want to talk about? I don't really have any notes, but I'm just looking. Oh, did you see Arnold Schwarzenegger's mom had given away his Mr. Universe trophy? Did you see this story?
I heard about that. He got it back.
Yeah, he was in Budapest. And
he got it through Aaron Singerman, I heard.
Yeah, Aaron got it on eBay. Yeah, and gave it back to him. No, Arnold was in Budapest, and somehow, I don't know how it came up that a guy who trained at this Budapest gym that Arnold was training at had the Mr. Universe trophy. He must have been bragging to everyone for years and years and years. So they called Arnold's like, call him up. I want to see if I can get it back. Evidently, when his mom thought it was like cool to give it to like some guy who came over, and he was a bodybuilder himself, and he was a fan, and she's like, oh, my son, he won the Mr. Universe. Oh, whoa, really? And they showed him the trophy. Oh, I love it. Yeah, take it home, no problem. She thought it was just a piece of junk, right? Who thought Arnold was going to be the star he was going to become, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I gave away some of my trophies, but maybe if I was, became the governor of Florida, maybe maybe my Mr. Universe trophy would be worth. My trophy would be worth more money. But Arnold, they called this guy up, and he comes down with the trophy. With the trophy, he comes down and he says, shows Arnold the trophy. You can see a picture of it on TMZ, and Arnold goes, man, I'd love to get that back. And so the guy's like, sure, or whatever. So he gives it back to Arnold, and Arnold, you think Arnold would give him something in return, right?
Yeah, what do you get? An interview?
He's like, I'm going to make you a replica of the trophy and give it to you. Now, at this point, if I got Arnold's trophy from when he's what was he, 16 and 19, I don't know, from Mr. Universe, right? And I'm giving it back to him. Obviously, the guy, I guess the guy got it for free, so maybe Arnold figures, what the hell? At least give the guy a few bucks, right? Don't you think? For his troubles, for taking care of it for all these years?
Yeah. Get it back?
I mean, he could have given him like $10,000 or something like that, or got him a Walmart gift certificate, something. I think I'd rather have the Walmart gift certificate than the replica of the trophy, right?
It's crazy, right?
Or how about Arnold give me something like that's even of more value to him, that maybe he has multiple things of, or something signed or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, like a
Terminator, like original, Terminator,
sunglasses,
something or another. Yeah, something like
poster.
That. Leather jacket, or I don't know, some memorabilia, some Arnold memorabilia would be better than just a replica of the trophy.
Do you remember Daryl Hannah?
Arnold's very generous. He probably will give him something.
I don't know why I just thought of this. Oh, anyways, I was thinking, you saw Daryl Hannah got married?
Who did?
Daryl Hannah. Do you remember her
from the Mermaid movie? Yeah.
The Mermaid movie.
Yeah.
She married Neil Young.
Oh, really? That's kind of odd.
I think he's like, he's as old as your father was. Well, I just said he's as old.
Have you seen Daryl Hannah recently, though?
Well, she looks as old as your father's.
Yeah, she's horrendous. She's horrendous. And she was a very good-looking girl when she did. What was that?
I haven't seen
Mermaid?
actually.
No, it wasn't called Mermaid. I love them. Splash, right? Splash?
Yeah, that was with
Tom Hanks.
I think Richie Cunningham produced that. Right?
My wife is whispering to me, that's not nice to say, she's horrendous. That's actually, you know how you like when I tell you lines at my father? That's like a line my dad would give. I can't take credit for that. That's my dad talking through me. I think he entered my body from above.
Well, I mentioned his name, so that's the reason.
That's something my dad would say. Oh, look at her! What a train wreck! Or look at the she's horrendous. That's definitely my. I've heard him say that probably about people before.
I think she got some plastic surgery and it came out wrong.
I think she did get a botched plastic surgery, and she gained a lot of weight. But she was very good looking when she did that movie Splash. I remember. Everyone was like in love with her, all the guys, of that age. But everyone gets old, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Someone today, I got a compliment. I was in the bagel store today, and we were talking about babies, and this woman was like saying, "Oh, how nice your baby is," and we were talking about her. She's got a granddaughter that's the same age, and I'm like, she's like, "Yeah, but you guys are young." I said, "Well, I'm not really that young, I got a late start." She's like, "How old are you?" I said, 50. She's like, 50? Huh, you don't look 50. I felt so good about myself.
Oh, I bet you didn't dare to ask, how old do I really look? Because she might say, you look 48.
You know what? My dad told me years ago. He's like, you're going to look, when you get older, you'll look a lot younger. I said, what does that mean? Do I look old now? I guess when I was bodybuilding, I was so bloated all the time. You look old.
Yeah.
All these guys look old.
But you got a big head. I mean, you know
I did have a big head. But you know what? It didn't look that big when I was 300 pounds.
Well,
my dad said
arms,
I evened it out.
Yeah. I was going to say, your big arms, your big shoulders, and,
yeah.
everything else evened it out. He's right.
He's like, your mother and I always thought that your head would never look small. He goes, it's actually in proportion to your body now. He told me that when I was 300 pounds.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of brain power up there.
I don't know if that. They used to say that, right? The size of your head dictates your brain power, but I think they've disproved that.
Trump said it's your hands. Remember, didn't he get into this hand thing?
Oh, did he? What did he say about hands?
During the debate. Or maybe he was talking about,
He said someone had small hands, right?
Trump demanded that people recognize his large hands. I don't know why. If it was because he was supposed to be well endowed, or he was supposed to be smart.
It was probably more important for Trump to think for people to think that he has a big penis than that he has a big brain, right?
Oh yeah, no. In a debate, he defended the size of his penis.
Oh, he did.
He said you could tell by the size of his hands.
To who? Against who? Hillary?
Look at those hands, Trump said. Are they small hands? As he raised them up. This is from the debate.
Yeah.
He said that in the debate.
He's got some good lines. I'll give him that much.
And he equated it with his manhood.
Yeah.
Maybe his hands are connected to his penis. I mean, he's got Stormy Daniels and the Playboy. He gets all the good,
But he did pay for them.
He has better luck than Daryl Hannah.
He's got better luck than Daryl Hannah. I'm going to my garage to look through my trophies. I got to make sure I don't have one of Arnold's trophies in there or something like that.
Yeah, make sure.
Or maybe one of maybe Samir's Sandow or something like that might be in there. We're getting Samir on the TV show this week.
Right? Tuesday. Are we on Tuesday at 1:00?
We're doing a pregame show. Yeah.
Pregame show. Samir will love that. He's probably taking notes and.
He'll probably know the competitors better than we do.
Of course. You know what he's going to criticize? You watch. Write these notes down. He's going to criticize the posing and the presentation.
Right.
And then he's going to get mad that they count glutes over shape, symmetry, and flow. And then you're going to say to him, "Well, Samir, that's why we have classic," and he's going to disagree with you, and he's going to say, "Is Lee Haney got more muscle than so and so?"
You think he'll like the classic, or is he not?
I'm sure he loves the classic, but he's going to tell you there's no need if they had stuck with judging criteria. I know Samir inside and out.
Right.
Nobody can tell you.
But your question you say to him is, Samir, if you were competing at your best, the Olympia form today, would you?
No,
be
he's very humble. He'd say no. He wouldn't say
he'd be classic Olympia champ.
Oh, classic Olympia? No, he'd say he'd mop the floor with these guys.
Exactly.
Honestly, Dave. Honestly, I think that if I had a little bit more pharmaceutical, I would take out Phil Heath.
That's a good impression of Samir.
I'm telling you, he'd say, "I swear."
He probably would.
Which he refers to the pharmaceutical as the mint julep. So you can write that down too.
That's where you got the mint julep from? I didn't know that.
Mint julep, yeah, because that's his code language for stuff was the mint julep.
Big year. I got you.
And if someone didn't have a crisp low back, he'd say, "You know what, Chris?" I said, "What, Samir?" He said, I think he's got a little bit too much Haagen-Dazs on the lower back."
That's great. We'll have to make him...
Samir had the most off the hook. To talk about real estate, I'll tell you what year it was. He had an apartment in Wilshire Boulevard, and it was just off the hook.
Oh, really? Was it expensive?
Oh God, then yeah, I think he was paying $3,000 a month then.
Wow.
I'm talking '89.
Wow, he could have bought his own place for that.
Oh yeah. No, he you know what was crazy? He owned a house in Wilshire that he was renting to someone.
Oh, and then he was renting the apartment just to be a big shot?
Well, the apartment, the house was small, not that nice, but the condominium was like, bougie. It was like, Lakers style.
Oh, really? Wow.
I'm sure he had a Laker in that.
And that development,
yeah, that's the place that they would want to live.
Was Samir making good money back then?
Yeah, of course. He was making tons of money.
Oh, because Joe was probably paying him, right?
Yeah, and he was traveling everywhere. And these guys used to guest post for like $3,000, $5,000 then.
Yeah, weekend, yeah. And that's because, you couldn't see them any other place.
No.
There was no internet. That's why people don't. There's no guest posers anymore. First of all, the shows are too long, so no one has guest posers. But no one wants to see anyone because they already see them every single day.
Yeah, they see them every day. Samir probably guest posts. He'll tell you 30 times a year, maybe
wow.
$5,000 a shot.
That's a lot of money.
$50,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. And a lot of that was cash. People they would shove in their pocket. They'd wait till they collected their money from the door and they just give you an envelope at the end of the day. I've got a lot of envelopes like that over the years.
Yeah.
Those are good envelopes to get. It was always the Italian promoters that would give you the envelopes. You notice that?
I don't know.
I'm telling you.
Oh, you mean in the U.S.?
In the U.S., yeah. The NPC, the people running the NPC shows, all the promoters that were Italian always gave me an envelope of cash. I don't know if I loved it.
Like a wedding.
Yeah, like a wedding, exactly. Like a wedding in New York. You go to a wedding in the Midwest, they give gifts. They don't give money.
Yeah, I saw somewhere at weddings in New York, there was this lady. She'd find out where these big, expensive weddings were.
She'd steal the envelopes?
Oh, yeah. She'd go dressed up as a guest, and she'd start stealing stuff.
Wow. You get caught. You get caught doing that by these people. They'll take you in the back room and beat you up.
Yeah.
They don't put up with that crap. So I tried to get Phil Heath on the TV show, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I might have talked about it on another show, but so I sent him. He wanted the questions ahead of time, which I felt was doable because I figured, well, he's Mr. Olympia. He doesn't want to get sandbagged by Dave Palumbo, but I'm honest. I gave him all the honest questions because I'm not trying to be disrespectful to him. He's Mr. Olympia 7 times, and he declined the interview. He said he didn't like the questions, didn't think they were relevant. And I'll tell you what. I'm going to open up my Word document. I'm going to tell you some of the questions that he didn't like. The reason I'm talking about it is because I'm not getting him on the interview. So you and I might as well discuss the questions. he doesn't want to do it, obviously.
So we'll just since he's not coming on, we'll comment on the questions.
He didn't. The question he didn't like. He didn't feel. I wanted to ask him, what ethnicity are your parents? And I said, growing up, where did you feel you fit in more, and with what crowd? Because obviously he's biracial. He's half black, half white. He's got the green eyes. I'm pretty sure he is. I don't know. I was going to ask him. I'm not sure, but
I thought I saw his parents before, and I think they're. Can you Google it somewhere? I think they're both black.
Oh, they are. Well, maybe somewhere. I didn't know. He has green eyes. Look, if you're a black guy and you have green eyes growing up, it's got to be weird. It's got to be people. People have to believe that that you're not just exclusively black, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. I just wanted to see if that had any effect on how he was perceived by his peers, because to me, I want to get into the mindset of what makes a person who they are, because it's your upbringing, it's your childhood that really molds who you are later in life.
Yeah.
That was it wasn't. There was nothing else behind the question other than that. He didn't feel it was appropriate or that it mattered. And
It always matters.
I think that race matters, don't you think? I mean, you're married to a black woman, and you have biracial kids. I mean, how are you perceived? You know. I'll ask you. You pretend if you could. I'll ask you instead of asking Phil Heath the same question.
Well, I'm looking at pictures now, so I'm. Oh no, that might be. I think I'm looking at his parents, and they're both. That's Sean Ray. I need glasses. I think they're
Chris
both
is looking
black.
at Sean Ray's parents.
Because I don't want to. You don't want to misspeak.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't know the answer to the question. That's why I asked him the question. You know, they might both be black. I don't know. I just know he's got really nice looking green eyes. So I figured, there's got to be something to it. And I want to know how he was perceived by his peers growing up. Because that might have just made him decide, certain things in life. I don't know. That I have to ask questions I don't know the answers to, because that means that everyone else out there is probably wondering the same thing that I am. Don't you think?
Yeah. But does what you're trying to get at was just the race? I guess was ethnicity. Was race the word?
Yeah,
or?
ethnicity is what ethnic group? What black, white? Who did you relate to? And
it's
what kids did you fit in with? Were you? And the next question was, were you accepted by the popular crowd, or was it important to you?
Yeah. But he didn't want to talk about that.
No, I wanted to know what the hardest obstacle he had to overcome in life was, because that really molds who you are as a person, and I don't think does anyone know anything about Phil in that regard? I never heard him talk about any of that stuff.
I mean, have you listened to any interviews with him?
Yeah, I think he's a good interviewer. I think he gives a good interview. The problem is that people lob softballs at him, and when you lob softballs, you don't really get anything except the same stories, and they're very superficial. I know about the basketball Division 1 basketball player. I don't know if he was any good in Division 1. I was going to ask him that too. Because he's not the tallest guy. I know he can dunk a basketball, which is impressive. And to get a Division 1 scholarship, that's pretty impressive, I would think. I want to know. I mean,
I guess, you know what? You want to put yourself out there to some degree.
And he obviously didn't make it in the NBA.
You really don't need, when you're that successful in bodybuilding, you can't have a wrong answer.
No, but
it's like the Jose Raymond interview.
Jose was the most. He gave an interview that was so unfiltered, so honest and raw that how could you not love the guy after that interview?
Well, I'm not. It's a little odd mentioning Boston Lloyd and Phil Heath in the same sentence.
Yeah.
But Boston's pretty
honest,
totally raw and open, and because of that, he has this big following.
Sure.
He has it for other reasons too, as kamikaze cycles and stuff that people are entertained by, and he is, he's funny. But with that success that Phil's had, on the stage, there's nothing he can say that would hurt his quote reputation. Anything that he can say that's more personal and more open and more, even more, just that people can get a better insight into who he is and why he does what he does.
You're pussyfooting around the what you really want to say is that he's the most unliked Mr. Olympia out there.
And I didn't say that. I did not say that.
I didn't say it.
That may be true, but that's not my.
Well, do you think that more people don't like him because they don't really know anything about him?
No, my train of thought was simply that with his success, the more you put out there about yourself in terms of, who you really are, the more people will like you.
Of course.
It's the reason the Kardashians are successful. I mean, one of the many reasons, because people know everything about them on a show like that, or I guess
But that's why people don't like him, because they don't really know who he is. They only know this persona that he puts out there. And I've talked to him behind the scenes. I know that that's not him. He's everyone's a little insecure, and that's his way of projecting that I'm confident and that I know what I'm doing. I'm the best, and you got to do that. That's game on, man. When you're out there, he gets that from basketball, and I wanted to see if that came from his childhood.
How do you know he gets that from basketball?
Because you have to have that. You have to have ultimate supreme belief in yourself to get on that court and shoot at with the best guys in the world.
You don't really need ultimate supreme Dominance, belief
all
in yourself.
all those basketball players are like that. They're all cocky, but that's why they're so good, because they are cocky and they are good at what they do. He uses that to fuel him. I'm telling you. But I want to know where it came from. It's not going to make him weak. If anything, it's going to make people endear people to him, because they're going to be like, "Holy mackerel, this guy."
One of the things that drives Phil. Come on, I'm not a psychologist, but one of the things that drives him is to prove people wrong who, continuously criticize him year after year, win after win. He would call them the haters, which is why whenever I say, his Mr. Olympia speech when I do my Saturday Night Live version is, the haters will hate. And Coleman talks about, his savior, and Jay talks about thanking Jim and
Jay does all the political things, right?
Yeah, and every single Olympia who preceded him, and the National Council on Dairy and Fitness.
When Jay competed, he was the most politically correct person in the history of the sport, right? Except when he sued Weider because they tried to take away his prize money that one year.
Oh boy!
Right? Don't take Jay's money away from him. That's where he draws the line.
That is war. That is war. Yeah. We'll see who sues who.
Did you advise him to do that, by the way?
I don't know if I can't remember. It was so long ago. Yes, I did. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you probably told him, "I'll let it go," and
No. He had 19 different diuretics in him, according to...
Oh, really? Is that really what they said he failed?
Something like that. I'm dead serious. Ask him. He said on your show they had like 9... It was like 9 or something.
They couldn't even differentiate.
But Nathan would say... I had Nathan says I'm the diuretic king, so, not to segue into Nathan, but Nathan likes to say, Chris starts those diuretics 2 weeks out.
Nathan who?
Diasha.
Oh, I didn't know he badmouthed. I thought that was the other guy who badmouthed, Luke Cassandro.
No, he did somewhere. No, well, they're British, so Luke might have told him, and I don't know how it goes around.
So that's maybe why Jay failed, because you had 14 diuretics in him, right?
Yeah. 19, 25.
Did you see that there's a big feud between Nathan Diaz now and Chris Psycho Lewis and actually it's really between Nathan Diaz and Nick Trigili is really what it is.
Okay, you know what's bizarre, Dave? Okay, let's go talk about that, but someone had sent me. They sent me to my text message. It was like Nathan. I just saw Nathan, Chris. I'm like, oh my God. I just deleted it. And I thought, Nathan can't be talking bad about me, could he? And I just don't even care. So I just deleted it anyway. And then the guy sent it to me again. And I said, I texted him back and said, I am not going to open it. It's like or read it because I don't care. Right. And then he told me it's not about you. Then I said, well, then why are you sending it to me?
Was this the one? Was this about the thing with Chris Lewis?
I never opened it.
Oh, so this is.
But I saw it. I saw Chris, so it must be about Chris Lewis. I saw it like Nathan, Chris.
Here's the irony of the whole thing. Yeah. The irony is that Nathan is a shit talker, which I like. I think it adds some personality. I like him and Justin Rodriguez are great together because they really at least love. You get them in the press conference arguing with each other. That'll be super fun because they're not afraid to say things, and you know what I mean. They don't need to be politically correct. But Nathan was just breaking Chris Psycho Lewis. Chris Psycho Lewis, who trains people out there at Gold's Venice. He used to train with people under Charles Glass. Now he has his own contingency, right? Rodin trains with him, all those guys.
Yeah. Rodin trains with them.
Dexter and all those guys. So Psycho Lewis trains it. So Nathan was training in the gym, and he's like, yeah, this is all those guys out there who train with Chris Psycho Lewis. We're badass. You know, he was busting balls, you know. And Nick Trigili, who's looking for a hit from anyone pretty much. He'll take a hit from anywhere he can get it from, you know. He's trying to be like the bad boy, badass. You know, I had my little run-in with him, which was for no reason, but whatever. I get what he's doing over there on his channel. He wants just traffic. He took offense. He's like, how I did is Nathan Diasha, like, you know, badmouth Chris Psycho Lewis, who's trained, you know, all these top guys, Flex Wheeler, all these Chris Cormier, which by the way, he really didn't train them. Charles Glass was training them at that point, but he was there, like as a spotter. But, you know, he was exposed to it. That was the point of the whole thing. And so Nick Trigili was trying to stir up shit, and then so Nathan and him started going back and forth. Nathan called him a loser. He's a terrible, washed-up bodybuilder. He was a loser. You know, he never really made it in the IFBB. And then Nick is making fun of Nathan. Can't hit a front double bicep. It was really childish, but it was funny. Some guy, I don't know how he did it. He somehow put the whole thing together into a YouTube video. It was like a great edited job where he it looked like they were talking to each other. It was great the way they went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like the timeline was perfect. He somehow synchronized it to get. It must have taken the guy like a week to do this thing, and so you can watch this video. The funny this is the irony of the whole thing. I find the whole thing amusing, and I don't really think that Nathan. I think Nathan's. If you talk to him about it, if I got him on the show right now, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm just fucking around. I don't give a shit." I don't think it really matters. But it got personal. They started going back and forth and just saying nasty stuff. But here's the kicker of the whole thing is I wanted to get Nathan on the TV show right before the Olympia. Where I'm friends with him, and he's like he's all offended that Boston Lloyd. Coming back to everything comes full circle to Boston Lloyd, right? Boston Lloyd, he feels disrespected him on his Instagram or something like that by saying that he was a bad father or something like that because he goes out to Kuwait Oxygen Gym.
Well, that's I would be offended too. No, because it's you can say Nathan has
but he didn't say that.
Jimmied up. Oh, okay.
Right. I don't think that Boston said that. Boston just said that these guys, and then he implied, I guess, Nathan, don't need to go to Oxygen Gym to be great bodybuilders. He said, look at Dorian, look at, Jay, look at, Ronnie. They didn't leave. Why do these guys have to go to Oxygen Gym and leave their family behind? It's selfish. That's what Boston was saying, basically. No, he's, once again, brutal, radical honesty. Can't keep his mouth shut. And Nathan
but I mean,
so Nathan got mad that we have Boston on our show, so he was going to take a stance by not coming on the show because we give Boston a voice on the show.
Well, listen, it was a dig on Nathan for these guys leaving their families because no one else has. Well, I guess it would be a dig on Curry too, so it's a dig on both of them.
Well, it was a dig on that, but then now Nathan is goes out to train with Matt Jensen. Too, who I don't think Boston likes either, by the way. Someone else was taking him. I think they were. Oh, I know. Nick Trigilli was also making fun of Matt Jensen. So I don't know. I find the whole thing amusing. It doesn't. I don't take it seriously. I don't know if these guys are taking it seriously and taking offense to it. I'm sure they probably are because they have very fragile egos.
Of course they take it. Everyone takes it serious.
But how Nathan could take Boston serious after he was breaking Chris Psycho Lewis's balls a little bit, how that whole thing started. If you're going to be let me tell you something. If you guys are going to be ball breakers out there, you better, if you're going to dish it out, you better be able to take it.
You got to take it. A lot of people, you're going to dish it out, you got to be able to take it.
You and I could take shit. I probably take it better than you. I know I dish out a lot of shit, so I expect it back, and nothing bothers me. It just doesn't. I just laugh at it and whatever, and I might respond to it because I like to argue and I think it's entertaining, but people say shit about me all the time. It doesn't bother me, and most 90% of what people say about me, I know is also just smack talk. And if we were in a diner together, we would sit down.
Blackman was serious about the kidneys and liver, though. But
Blackman might not really like me because we do break his balls a little bit. But I'm still convinced. If Elise wasn't around and Blackman and I happened to walk into a restaurant, an empty restaurant,
you guys have a good time. Yeah, have a good time.
And I said, Steve, let's have a steak and a bottle of wine. He'd fucking do it. I know it. He wouldn't be able to say no. Yeah. If Elise was there, he wouldn't be able to do it. She would say, you're not going over there. He fucking talks about you all the time. But that's just the nature of the beast. So, once again, I'm looking forward to the press conference. It's all coming back to the press conference. I wanted to bring up the press conference. I'm looking forward. Hopefully, I get in time. My flight's not delayed because I'm coming in Thursday morning. But I want to see.
You're coming in way too late. Why are you coming in that late?
I'm lucky I'm able to go. All right, I got young babies. You don't have young babies in the house.
I travel the world when I have kids.
You get yelled at though. You get in trouble after when you get back. I don't want to get in trouble when I get back. No, so I'll be there. But I think the press conference this year is going to be actually entertaining because we have a lot of good personalities up on that panel there. Nathan and Justin Rodriguez, and they like to argue, and Juan, and they all these guys love to argue on Instagram. I hope they don't clam up and try to be all politically correct up at the press conference. Bob should have cheat notes there and say, hey, read these Instagram posts.
There's no such thing as clamming up. There's no way they'll clam up.
Maybe we should have Boston Lloyd there asking him questions. Right? Get celebrity interviewer up there.
Well, you can
give him a microphone. Then you'll really have some fucking. You could sell tickets to that fucking press conference.
I told Robin Chang 5 years ago. I said you should move this event, and you should.
It needs to have an intimate.
You should charge for it.
Yeah,
and
people would pay. People wouldn't pay according to the way it's been going because it's so boring. But if you got, like I said, if you got some guys like some social media guys up there asking questions, you should have they should have a panel. This is what we should do, Chris. This is my new suggestion. You got my thinking. I'm giving you credit for this idea. You get a panel. You get like Boston Lloyd, Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto up there. You can't because you got too many guys in the show. Chris Aceto. You get Dave Palumbo, Boston Lloyd. Who else has got a big mouth? Bob Chicurl's got a big mouth. Get him on the panel too. Sean Ray, who's got a big freaking mouth. You get like 5 people up there, and we have a list of questions we ask. We can each ask like 3 or 4 questions.
Yeah.
And that's, believe me, that'll be the greatest press conference of all time. Now the problem is that a lot of these guys won't participate. Like if Jay was up there, Jay would dismiss it, these questions. But we wouldn't be even talking to Jay because Jay doesn't get involved in social media wars. I'd be asking Nathan and Justin and Juan and Akeem. Well, Akeem really a little bit to Akeem, but it would be tremendously entertaining. Rami, we could even give Bader a place on the panel to ask questions. You can ask him in Arabic. That would be interesting. See, because if you charge for the press conference without it being entertaining, people will fucking walk out. I like when it gets a little heated up there. Dexter's great. You can light him up in 2 seconds. Ask him the right questions.
Dexter?
Oh yeah.
He don't care. Of course, he's just gonna spit it out.
He's the elder statesman up there. Yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
Dexter's all opinion. I mean, it's all facts coming out of Dexter. He's not going to attack anyone. Dexter just goes back to won 400 pro shows. I can win it any time. Then he does this. I'm telling you guys, if any of you guys are not 100% I'm going to be, then everyone gets nervous. Jeez, maybe he could.
Who's the guy who was antagonizing Phil Heath last year? What's his name? Louis Marco. You can put him on the panel.
Yeah.
Be great. That would be really good. It would be too much stress for the bodybuilders having to deal with real questions. Phil wouldn't approve the question because I want to ask him about his racial upbringing. Well, what if I ask him that in the press conference? If I stand up and ask him that at the press conference, is he going to say it's not relevant?
He wouldn't answer it. Say, get this guy out. Of course
they going to say it's not relevant?
No, he'd say, he'd say, I don't want to answer it.
We have so many people who listen to the show. Someone who's going to be at that press conference. One of you guys ask the question. I'm not going to stand up and do it because they'll like Chris said, they'll probably take me out of there or something like that. But someone can stand up and ask it. Someone else, if a fan asks the question, what is he going to say? I'm not answering it? No, he's going to have to answer it. It's a great question. Where the frick did you come from? What made you Phil Heath? That's what I want to know. That's interesting.
Basketball.
Nah.
See how that? I mean, it doesn't even make.
Basketball thing. It's just a human. Basketball is interesting because how many bodybuilders were Division I basketball players? But that doesn't mean anything. That's not who he really is. We know Ronnie Coleman was delivering fucking Domino's pizza when he got out of freaking school because he couldn't get a job. That to me is entertaining. We knew that Ronnie Coleman didn't even want to be a bodybuilder. Why? Why did he compete? Because Brian Dobson gave him a freaking free membership to the gym. That's fucking entertaining, man. Right?
Yeah.
That's entertaining. Dorian Yates was fucking in a reform school in jail. And he said to himself, I got one shot. I get this bodybuilding book here. I think I can do this. I'm pretty freaking strong. I'm the strongest guy in jail. Do you ever hear this story?
No.
It's in his new book, yeah. He was the strongest kid in jail. That's really what it amounted to. He's like, they're like, you freaking bench press a lot of weight. He's like, yeah, I don't know. It just comes kind of easy to me. And look at you. You're getting muscle all over the place, from eating they're probably eating crap in the jail and he's growing muscle, He said, maybe I'm good at this. That was it. He said, I didn't take a shot. I had no shot. That was it. There was no fallback plan. He said, if I wasn't good at this, I was done.
Right. He said he put all his eggs in. Yeah. I put all my eggs in one basket. And the people asked him, why did you put all your eggs in one basket? He said he only had one basket.
How could you not like the guy when you know that? The guy was that's a movie right there. That's a movie of the week. So that's what you want to find out. We want to know who. No one knows who Phil is. I don't know who he is. If I don't know and you don't know who he is, then the fans certainly don't know.
Phil is like, here's like the summary of Phil. that people know of. Division I basketball player, which implies he scored like 30 points a game, but he didn't. Well, I mean, it's
Right,
true.
well, that's another question I want to ask. Were you any good? Did you play? I don't know.
And the ability to, be a competitor with Division I, highly emphasized basketball, played a, massive role in his mindset in making him a champion in bodybuilding. Full stop. I mean, there's not a lot other than that we know.
No, that's why that's why I believe that people can't get behind him because they don't really know anything about him. When I did that interview, I don't know if any of you guys have watched the interview out there. I'm sure a lot of you had, but with Jose Raymond. I had no idea. Now, obviously, this was a painful thing. Jose didn't talk about this initially because he didn't want people to say, oh, Jose is just, a sad case. He tells it after, as he's about to retire, which is great because no one knew this. That the guy was, living in foster care with his brother Tito, who raised him, basically. The parents were drug addicts and, nutcases from what he was telling me, he said he painted a nice picture in the interview of them because he was just for his family's sake, But the bottom line is, it was like the Wild West, growing up with him. How him and Tito came out so normal and so successful is just a testament to how strong-minded they were. And that, you got to wrap yourself around that. And then he told that Rudy story, with football, which is great, where he didn't play one game in college. Until the senior year when 14 people got, the first 14 running backs got injured and they had no one else but him.
Named the field after him after the.
And then he ran for a touchdown on the first run, 60-yard touchdown.
Yards.
And then he became the star and he played the whole senior year as the star of the team. So, that's pretty amazing.
I don't know if he mentioned it, Dave, but he would go through all the, the sprints, the wind sprints, the wind sprints with the team, and then the team would leave, and then he'd do them all over by himself.
Yeah, that's
just
just his
in
work
case,
ethic.
He told my son, just in case, I wanted to be fully prepared, just in case I ever got in.
You would think that they would see him in practice. How he had to be good in practice, right?
He said he used to kill. He said they used to tell him, tone it down, because he'd play defense and he'd kill the starters.
You think the coach would say, you know what, this guy's pretty aggressive. Let's try him one time. Let's throw him in a couple plays. We're winning this game pretty good. Throw Jose Raymond and let's just see.
Yeah.
That's just because these coaches are real fucking cocksuckers, as my dad would say. The funny thing is, I'm afraid when I'm telling you all my dad's expressions now that he's not here. I'm taking them. I'm taking them over now. I'm going to adopt them. You know what the funny thing is? I'm afraid when my son starts playing sports because some of these coaches are probably real ignoramuses, and I'm going to have to deal with them. Like my dad had to deal with my coaches, I was exposed to racism. I didn't tell you this. When I was playing soccer, all these, as my dad would say, waspy and Italian people kind of ran the sport. And I was half Jewish, So, and I had a lot of Jewish friends. There was a lot of Jewish friends who played because where I grew up was very Jewish. It was half Italian, half Jewish type of thing. And they didn't like Jews, these people. I didn't know this. What does he know as a kid? The coaches didn't like the Jews.
Yeah.
So they would make fun of the Jews, and my dad would be standing there. They didn't know. My dad's last name is Palumbo, right? So my dad would get all fucking pissed off because he's like, I'm married to a Jewish woman, And my dad was a tough guy, even though he was 10 years older than everyone. He was a tough guy, and they must have known it because no one ever messed with my father,
Yeah.
Because I saw, you could tell these guys would try to intimidate other fathers, but I didn't even realize my father was a tough guy. But I knew he was tough to me, but I didn't realize how tough he was because he looked, he wore glasses, he was smoked a pipe, he looked like the college professor,
I thought you were going to say smoke pot.
No, not back then. No, not back then. He was the college professor, but he always said, my father taught me, his dad beat him up when he was a kid. He wasn't afraid of anyone, because of that. When the biggest beatings you get are at home from your parents, when you're not afraid of any of the kids, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, but no, yeah. So they would try to pull the Jewish stuff, But I was the strongest guy on the team. I was like a terror, there. So they needed me on the team because I was good, but they would do this to all the Jewish kids. My father would have to stand up for everyone, because he didn't like this. He didn't like this. My father was, a very liberal, didn't like any kind of discrimination against anyone. Not to mention, his wife was Jewish. It would be like if you're standing around and people making fun of black people in front of you.
It happens all the time.
I was going to say it probably does, right?
Yeah,
and how does that influence you and your kids and their upbringing? I'll ask you that question. Coming back to the Phil Heath question,
how does
it affect your kids? Because being that they're biracial, and do they experience any racism?
They do, but usually with me, I have a big mouth back when I need to.
Do you find yourself having to
Well, I'm just correcting people all the time with lies and injustice. They can't believe, they see me battle it out on a daily basis with people. You want the example today?
Yeah, I like to hear this stuff because
okay. We're on the beach in Cape Elizabeth, Maine. I should have taken the guys. Anyways, we're on the beach. It's a rock beach, and all rock. There's no sand.
Right.
Meanwhile, we just came. I'm dead serious. We came from, there's like a cliff walk, and it's like on the edge of the cliffs, just like a movie, and if you fell off this walk, you'd be dead. Mm-hmm. But they put up in the last few years, maybe 8 years or so, like a fence, that's impossible to penetrate, go over you could jump over the fence and jump and kill yourself. Right. But there's an opening, it's a pretty big opening, and people can go down on this, beach, and I'm going with my kids, and I'm thinking, someone's going to get killed here. That and waves are crashing in, and people are throwing rocks into the beach, and I'm thinking a wave's going to come in and suck someone out to sea. So we go to a different beach, another rock beach. My 13-year-old takes a bunch of big rocks that are fairly heavy, and he stacks them up. I mean, it's heavy enough, and we're throwing small rocks at the big rocks. Right. That's what we're doing to entertain ourselves. And a guy comes over, and I'm probably 40 feet away, and he tells my
biological son, because people ask me, how'd you get those kids? They ask me that all the time.
People ask me that all the time.
Unbelievable, right?
Yeah. And he came over and said to them, to the 13-year-old, you got to tear that thing down. And I thought, that is the strangest thing ever.
Yeah.
And my son said, why? And he said, because someone's going to come over here and get hurt. And my son looked up at me like I'm 40 feet away, Dave. Yeah. And I said, I don't have the energy. Because he wanted me to come over there and give the guy a lecture. I know what he was thinking. You got people 90 feet away on cliffs with waves coming in.
Right, someone's going to get hurt with the little rocks he's stacking up.
And this guy got off his little scooter, like a little park ranger, trotted down and see the little brown boy, biological son of mine, and said, you better take that down, son.
Did you go over there? Or no?
No, I was just not. He looked at me. I said, I don't have the energy today. It takes a lot of energy to battle them out.
You're the best, Chris. You're the greatest.
I mean, and you know why I didn't battle him out, Dave J? Because he looked at me like, okay, what's wrong here? He was already onto the guy. I said, because if he was naive about it.
Did he take it down, or did he just kind of yes to go?
No, we didn't take it down. No, I should have told him build it even bigger.
Yeah. Make it more dangerous, please.
Well, they got insurance.
Unbelievable. Well, we live in a crazy world. It's the truth, and that was the whole impetus behind the interview. But anyway, it won't happen. Maybe it'll happen after the Olympia. Maybe he's just trying to stay mentally strong before the Olympia. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. All right, there was the North American Championships took place this past weekend, along with the Pittsburgh Pro Masters Championships, which originally I was skeptical about. I like it. It doesn't get a big turnout, but you know what, Gary? It's a great idea because it gives these guys 40 and over, 50 and over, 60 and over, 70 and over a chance to compete, on a pro level. Because these guys turn pro at the Masters, these Masters events, and then they'd have nowhere to go because who are they going to compete against? So Gary said, I got a great idea. I'm going to hold the Pro Masters Championships. You got to pay an entry fee, but I'm going to put the entry fee into a kitty, basically, and I'm going to create prize money from that. So basically, you pay to play, and if you place, top 3, whatever it is, they give you prize money. It's a great idea. It gives these guys like a life after, because it's silly. I hate when I see the 60-year-old guy, 60 and over year old, whatever, Masters Pro, having to get up onto the open stage and compete against regular guys. He can't do that, but he can compete against other guys 60 and over. And now they have enough pros in those age ranges where they actually can put together some shows. So they have it a 40 and over, 50 and over, 60 and over, 70 and over. And they had some women's events too. The 40 and over was won by Eric Alstrup, and I saw the pictures. The guy looked really good. So these guys are no chumps. The 50 and over was won by Jeff Williamson. The 60 and over was wrong. Actually, I helped someone in the 60 and over, believe it or not. I helped Lee Apperson. You know Lee.
Oh, yeah.
He's been competing for his whole life. He was in the hospital last week. He had some kind of intestinal problem. I didn't even think he was going to make it to the stage. He's like, I'm going. I said, all right, you sure? You sure? Yeah, doctor clear. So who knows? He might have won if he hadn't gone to the hospital, but it was a good battle between him, and you probably know the guy who won, Greg Krause, who's been around forever. He's been doing the Masters Nationals for 100 years, and he always looks great. He finally got his pro card. I don't know if it was last year or the year before that, whatever, one of these years, in the 16 over. Him and Lee battled it out. He won. Lee was second. Let's see if you know all these other guys. Don Smith, Crazy Wear, third.
Yeah.
Fourth, Ralph Kosha, who I just interviewed, who won. I told you he'd been competing for 35 years straight. He had just won Team Universe, 16 over. I interviewed him earlier in the year. Dave Marinelli, fifth. Remember Dave?
Dave Marinelli, oh yeah, of course.
Really good middleweight guy back in the 90s. And who was... And Ed Miska was sixth, who I've seen compete. And actually, an old client of mine who just turned pro a couple years ago, Clint Strubble, was seventh. So they had 7 good guys in the show. So I think that's pretty cool. They actually had a 70 and over too. There were 2 guys, Ed Miska, okay, who I just said came in sixth in the 50, 60 and over, and Bud Woodruff. Bud Woodruff, you probably don't know who he is, but when I used to cover the Masters Nationals every single year, he was always there, and he was always winning 70 and over. He's got to be close to 80, this guy, by now. So I love it. I love it when I see these guys up there on the stage. Congratulations to these guys. So, but it's a good idea. It's a great idea, I think, Gary put together, because it does give these guys some life after the Masters Nationals to go and compete. The North American Championships also took place on the same. It's actually a 4-day show now, which I think is a brilliant idea. People say 4 days. Believe me, you don't want to try to squeeze this into 2 days. It's a nightmare. It's a great idea. They have plenty. They got 1,300 people doing the show, Chris. They can afford to get the theater for 4 days. They're not losing any money. I can guarantee you that. So I think it's a great idea that Gary and Jim Mannion put together there to have the theater, so you spread it out a little bit. It takes the pressure off the judges too, because it's hard to judge that many people over a short period of time. Nationals should probably be 3 days at this point, because they get over 1,000 people. The overall was won by Ronald Gordon. Have you seen the pictures, Chris?
No.
We'll get over there and look at them on NPCNewsOnline.com. I wouldn't say it was the best North American Championships I've ever seen. I would say that there was some highlights, I guess, but no one blew me away. But the level of conditioning is good. You talk about people saying bodybuilding's dying. No way. They had stacked classes in all the different weight classes, so that tells me the sport is still healthy. Maybe the lighter classes are not as stacked, because I think a lot of those lighter guys are going into classic, but not the big guys. The big guys, there was a lot of big guys in this event. So the super heavies were won by Ronald Gordon, who wound up winning the overall. The heavyweight class was won by, I actually like the heavyweight guy the best, Simon Ducharme. He was shredded. Good vacuum post. He actually looked, I thought he was a plastic guy at first.
No, he's more peeled than the pictures show. He's totally peeled.
He's the real deal, this guy, as far as conditioning goes.
He's young.
Yeah. I think he's going to be good. I think he's got some good potential. The light heavyweight guy was really good, too. Austin Carr. I don't know if you looked at any pictures of him.
Very good.
Great quads. I actually thought he was going to win the overall, this kid. He was so good. But I looked at the overall comparisons. It's hard to beat a super heavyweight guy if he's got good shape because he's he's a lot bigger than these guys. But I really like this light heavyweight conditioning. Great legs. I think the good thing about this show is that, sometimes you see these shows become all like 40, 50-year-old guys winning, the open show. These guys are all young. I think we're going to see these guys develop into really good bodybuilders in the future, So we got a lot of young guys winning, getting their pro card. It's going to take a couple years till they kind of grow into the classes, but once they do, you're going to be like, where did this guy come from? You're not even going to remember where they turned pro. Because they're really not household names. Usually when you see the USA Nationals, the guys that win usually are people, I know that guy. He's been competing for 3 years or 4 years. Finally got his pro card. These guys are kind of relatively unknown. They've been around, but relatively. I like that. I like to see that. It's good for the sport. Once again, North American is really developed. Remember they stopped holding it for a while? No one wanted to hold it?
Yeah, why?
And then Gary and Jim said, you know what, let's just move it to Pitt. First of all, they put it in Cleveland first.
I think it was who had it? Someone in Canada had, I think.
It was going all over the place. They had it in Vegas a couple of years when Jimmy Quinn won, and then it was in Canada. Right, it was in Canada. I think, what's his name? That bodybuilder up in Canada was running it.
The big guy, the young guy.
Yeah. And
Nimrod King.
Yeah, Nimrod King, right. I competed at that twice up there, I think. Or once or something like that. And it was okay, and the talent was good, but it was just, I don't know, the show just didn't catch on. And when Gary brought it to Cleveland, was it Cleveland? Yeah, it was Cleveland. No, it was in that hotel that was attached to a shopping mall. It was great. I loved it. I loved going there. I helped a lot of people there. And then he said, you know what? I think it was expensive. They said, let's just bring it back to Pittsburgh. We'll put it exactly where we have the Masters Nationals in the same hotel there, which is great. And they turned it into this monstrosity. They added all the in a good monstrosity. They added all the Masters classes, and they pumped the thing up. And now they're hitting as many people here at the North American as they are at the Masters. The difference between North American is they actually have open classes. The Masters Nationals is just Masters, so. Potentially the North American is going to be bigger than anything out there. It's certainly bigger than the Nationals, because think about it, the NPC Nationals and the USA Championships have no Masters events. So the North American is it's really a Masters and an Open. Yeah. So, I mean, there's no way you can compete with that. That show will have 2,000 people competing at some point in the future. So it's a lot of money. A lot of money, Gary. Well, Gary's been working hard for many years. He deserves it. Hopefully, Gary, pay your taxes. I'm just kidding. It's a lot of money, right? Think about it. People have no idea what it is to make a lot of money. I mean, if you make $200,000, if you make $500,000 on a show, you got to pay taxes on that money, man. It's expensive.
It gets whittled away.
Yeah, you can't just be like, oh man, I have $500,000 in the bank. No, you got to save that money to pay your estimated taxes on all that income you just made.
Yeah.
Or you would go to jail. So that's why you need real businessmen like Gary and Jim running that show, because you get some young kid running it, it'll be like, oh, I hit the pay dirt. Next thing you know, they get the IRS letter in the mail. They owe more money than they have in the bank.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. With the penalties and the penalties and the interest.
It
outstrip what you owe.
Yep. Yeah.
I remember DeMayo had something. I remember DeMayo telling me he had something like when he was 19, he made $500, and he didn't know he was like 19, like guest posing at like a local show. And then like, I don't know, 6 years later, he owed like $3,700 or something because he never paid taxes on it because he didn't consider it.
Sure.
He didn't consider it income.
True
because he didn't think it was a job. He didn't think it was a job.
When I was working at MD Muscle and I was working in the offices a couple days a week there, and I'm not going to say who it's from, but we would get letters all the time from the IRS there for top professional bodybuilders who were under contract with MD, which was a lot, so you guys would have to figure it out for yourself who it is.
They want to garnish the wage or something, or take the...
Yeah, they were like, this guy owes us like, $150,000 in back taxes, summonses and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy makes so much money. I can't believe he's not paying taxes. But they weren't. And I don't know if it's because they were ignorant or didn't know or they didn't want to, but it was from from MD contract stuff. So they were asking for, they were like subpoenaing for records and stuff like that. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. So guys, pay your taxes out there, not just promoters. All you bodybuilders, if you make prize money, you got to pay taxes on it. All right. If you don't, you're going to be up shit's creek. Believe me, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I don't know if I should do this final quote of the week. It's getting late.
Yeah. No, do it. I like a good quote.
All right. Okay. I think a lot of people have trouble, getting where they want to get to, right?
Goodness, just said it. Well, we started out with, I asked my 14-year-old the 3 questions. What do you want to be? What's your passion? And what do you want to be? What's your passion? And who do you want to be? Big important questions, but go ahead.
Because a lot of people think, well, you know what? I want to get to... I have people who tell me all the time they want to be, coaches. And I said, well, first thing you got to do is start thinking about being a coach, what it entails, what you would do, how you'd act as a coach, what you'd be telling your clients. That's first. Then you actually, while you're doing this, imagining this, you go and you start learning about nutrition. Maybe hire a coach of your own. Go through the contest prep with them. Go through an off season with them. I have a lot of guys. I know they hire me just because they want my protocols. They want to learn from me, and then they take that and they become good coaches. I've helped innumerable people. Now I have the Guru course, by the way, which is the next one is coming up. Is a lot of people have been asking me about it. October 20th, 2018. It's on a Saturday here in Cape Coral, Florida. I was going to do it in Texas, but I decided not to. It's too much of a pain in the ass. I'm going to be holding here. You got to sign up at DavePalumbo.com. It's a 10-hour class. It's a seminar here. It's you learn everything about diet, supplementation, performance-enhancing drugs, how to get people ready for shows, contests, off-season, pre-contest, men, women, every protocol I've ever written. You get an 85-page manual you take home with you of all my protocols. It's a terrific learning experience. But anyway, getting back to what I was telling you. They want to know how to become coaches, so educate yourself. But then you actually have to go out there and start coaching people. But it all starts with what you're thinking about. And here's the quote. The quote is, "The universe does not know or care whether the vibration that you are offering is in response to something you are living right now, something you are observing, or in response to something that you are imagining. In either case, the universe accepts it as your point of attraction and will match it and create it." And I just think that that's such a great quote because we create what we think about, right? We know that. We know our thoughts become a reality. But it doesn't matter if you're actually living as a doctor, thinking about becoming a doctor, right? Or actually, studying to be a doctor. It doesn't matter. It's all the universe is going to attract doctor to you in all 3 cases.
When you're concentrating on it, right?
Right. Well, just
I told you, Jim. The best. I told you, Jim Carrey, the greatest example of that, right?
No.
Jim Carrey used to drive up when he was almost homeless, and he would drive up into Hollywood, and he would park his car, and he would role play with himself, and he'd pretend he was like a Hollywood producer and say like, Jim, I think you should take the 10 million. And he said, I just can't. I can't. My last movie I did 10 million, and I would and he didn't have any roles at the time, nothing.
And look what he became, right?
Yeah.
And you know what's even amazing? You know what he does now? He's a painter. Have you seen the paintings he does?
He paints about Trump, dude.
Oh, he painted a Trump picture? I didn't know that.
He paints these horrific paintings of they're crazy. Yeah.
They're unbelievably creative. You might not like the styles he does, but the colors and the paint. And
I know, they're incredible.
And he's obsessed with it too. I love it. I love that he was able to transition from
that's
to that.
I mean, part of his success, right, is he's obsessed with whatever he's into.
Yeah. I'm like that too. I'm told.
I know you're like that. I think you're totally obsessive.
Yeah,
absolutely. I've
been producing some great snakes.
If you got into dandelions tomorrow, dandelions, and said, Chris, I love these dandelions, and I know I would pull up to your house and the grass would be covered with dandelions.
Absolutely.
And you'd have dandelion soup, dandelion supplements for water loss, dandelion synthol, dandelion to feed the snakes. Everything would be dandelion.
Well, you know what the truth is? I produced the whole idea when you start breeding snakes is to produce something no one's ever produced, a color and pattern variation that you can kind of call your own. And I actually did that for the first time this year. I produced a couple of what they call world's first. Not that it's a big deal, but, just variations that no one has done before. And that's, once again, it's like painting a picture that no one's painted before. It's gratifying, if you're putting your life force into something. But, I've been doing it for almost 5 years now, and so... And I'm obsessively watching videos and learning about it and stuff like that. But that's how you start doing anything. You start out not knowing anything about it, and then you get involved in it. And I see, like I said, a lot of people who want to get into bodybuilding, they want to be bodybuilders. You got to think about it all the time. You have to focus on it. We used to read magazines. I know you did it, the same thing I used to do. We would read the magazines so many times that we would almost have them memorized, and we would then start reading the ads because we got so sick of reading the same article over and over again that we knew everything about the person and everything about it, the workouts they do and the food that they eat, that you would read the ads and then finally hope by the time the ads were all read that you would get the next issue the following month. It would come. But that's how we learned about all this stuff, and that's how you became a bodybuilder. Nowadays you have innumerable sources of information on the internet, and I'm proud to say that I have an app with all the like a library worth of everything I've ever written and said and done. You can access at the Dave Palumbo Experience App Store. Other people have their own forms of stuff. RX Muscle YouTube channel has an infinite amount of information on there. I mean, you have to immerse yourself in this. It has to become second nature to you if you want to be a great bodybuilder and or a great bodybuilding coach. It goes for the same thing. But like I said, the reason why that works is because, once again, the energy that we summon when we think about things is the same energy we summon when we're actually doing them. So start off, if you're not actually a coach yet, at least start off thinking about being a coach. Drive up to the Olympia and pretend that you're coaching Phil Heath on stage. Get a front row ticket and say, Phil, that's right, just like I said, hold your arms up a little higher there in that double bicep. Suck the gut in. Yeah. So anyway, I thought it was a relevant quote to what we're going what a lot of guys in our sport are doing right now, and how to get into it, because a lot of people are intimidated by the process, but don't be intimidated, because you know what? The more you expose yourself to it, you become comfortable, confident with it, and then before you know it, you're the one dictating the process. And on that note, we're out of time until next week. Remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Good night, everyone.